Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all well and thank you very much for tuning in. First of all, just a very quick thank you to all the new subscribers here on the channel. I haven't really been too active on here for over a month now for various reasons which I won't go into here, but I really appreciate you taking the time to subscribe despite that fact. We'll be back with normal programming very soon with regular streams and content through the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the AIG or Alpha India Group AI Traffic Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's finally here, it's been a long time coming, and this is a very exciting add-on for the sim. If you flew P3D or FSX, you may already be familiar with what this is, so feel free to use the chapter markers in the video to skip forward to the setup. However, it is likely to be new to many of us, including myself, so I thought I'd put together a video showing what it is and how we can get this set up and working in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, what does this add-on actually do? So, what it does essentially is install a vast number of real-world flight plans into the simulator along with high-quality aircraft models and liveries for absolutely no cost at all. I do realise this is a beta, but AIG have never charged for their products, and this will likely still be completely free on full release. So it allows you to fill your airports and skies with real-world airlines in various different ways. You can use offline AI traffic and use the accompanying AIG Traffic Controller to achieve that. You can use the live traffic system in Microsoft Flight Simulator that's built into the sim, and that should match up with these models as well. And you can use the models and liveries for VATSIM model matching, something I've personally been really looking forward to, and has got me very excited about this add-on. It'll also work with the multiplayer in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so other aircraft or other players flying around using airline liveries, etc., it should have a better chance of matching them correctly with the right livery when you encounter them online. You can see in the background whilst I'm talking some of the examples of the results of this, and as you can see it does look very nice indeed, despite this still being in an early beta stage. Big thanks to the AIG team for making this possible. I can only imagine the amount of work required to bring a huge project like this to a new simulator. So in this video initially I will show you how to set up for offline and the real-time AI traffic, as I imagine this is going to be common use for this. And at the end of the video I'll talk a little bit about using these models on VATSIM, and I've got a VMR file to share with you as well that you can download and just add easily to vPilot, and hopefully that should set you off. There is a little housekeeping we need to do before actually getting things into the sim, but the process is pretty straightforward. It only took me a few minutes really to do myself, but in this video I'm going to guide you through it step by step, as I don't believe there is any documentation for this add-on at the moment. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so before going any further, I will just stress that this application, it is in beta, so some models and liveries are not yet available, and it is still limited in some respects by the simulator itself, so there will be some bugs or strange behavior in places, and I've included a link in the description where you can read more about the limitations and known issues with this add-on. I recommend you give this a read just so you know what to expect if something doesn't look right. So I have already set this up fully on my computer and been using it, but I'm going to take it back to square one and set up everything brand new and fresh with you guys and do it step by step. So feel free to follow along and pause the video as and where necessary. Okay, so step one, first of all, you want to go to the Alpha India Group website and download both the new AI Manager 1.1 beta and the AIG Traffic Controller. I've included a link to both of these in the description of the video. Just a word of warning, there's going to be a lot of links in the description for this one, so make sure you do go down there and have a look. Note that you don't need to bother with the traffic controller at all if you want to use just live traffic or are using these models for VATSIM model matching only. So unzip the files as normal. The easiest way to do this, I find, is just to copy the files directly from the zip file and paste them in the desired location. I have a folder on my hard drive specifically for add-ons like this called MSFS, within which I've created a subfolder called AIG, and I'm going to paste both of the downloaded files in there. Both applications need to be set up to run as an administrator in Windows to work properly, so let's get that set up before doing anything else. To do this, first navigate to the AI Manager folder, right-click the AIG Tech-AI Manager application file, that's the one with the AIG icon. Don't get confused with the one below that says .exe. So right-click on this and go to Properties. Click the Compatibility tab at the top and check the option for Run this program as an administrator. Click Apply and then OK, and that's the process complete. Now we'll repeat that process for the AIG Traffic Controller application. So back out of that folder and jump into the AIG Traffic Controller folder. Right click on the similarly named AIG Tech-Traffic Controller application, again the one with the icon. Again, right click, click Properties and do the exact same as what we just did for the AI Manager. With those small preliminary steps out of the way, we can get into the good stuff now. So first we're going to start by configuring the AI Manager. You do not need to do anything with the traffic controller until we are actually in the sim. So let's now navigate to the AI Manager and launch the application. Windows will obviously ask you if this is okay, it's running as an administrator. Click yes and the application should begin to launch. Note that if you have P3D or FSX installed, at this stage it will ask you to select a simulator. Obviously you would select MSFS 2020. However, I do not have these simulators installed, so that option isn't displayed for me. And upon first launch of the application, you will be asked if you want to disable generic traffic. So I clicked yes on that. I'm not actually sure the proper option for that, but I don't want the generics in the sim regardless, so I'm just going to click yes and allow it to do that. And once you've done that, the application will start a scan of the simulator for scenery. It will also ask you if you want to use slow mode. It's entirely up to you what you click here. I clicked yes. I was doing some work at the time, so that's fine with me. But it's entirely up to you. Now, this process can take a short while on the first run, so let's take care of some other little items we've got to do that we'll need once the process is complete. So in order to download the various models and liveries, you'll need an account on both the AIG forum and on avsim.com. And in some small cases, I've also found you may require a flightsim.com account login too. So what I would advise is for you to go ahead and set up an account for the AIG forum and for avsim.com if you don't have one already. I've included links to the registration pages for all three of these websites in the video description. So head down to the video description now and complete the registration process, which I'm not going to show here as it's self-explanatory. But once you've completed the registration process, come back here and we'll continue on. Obviously, keep your login details handy for the next part of the setup. Alright, so going back to the application, once the initial scan is completed, you'll be presented with this screen. There's a couple more options to set up before we can download any of the models. So first of all, we're going to click on Settings on the left-hand side of the application. And then along the top, we are going to click on Flight Plans. So first thing on here you want to check is you want to check the option Use AI GFP-files when possible. So check the box next to that. And then below that, we need to select the directory for the AIG Traffic Controller that we copied over earlier. Now, if you are just using online traffic, I don't believe this step is entirely necessary, but I would probably just do it anyway and download the traffic controller. It's not going to take up much extra space on your computer at all, just to make sure you've got all cases covered. So I'm going to click select to select the directory and basically just navigate to the folder which I showed you earlier. So in my case, it's MSFS and then AIG. And then we're just going to select the traffic controller folder and the application inside that, and we'll click open. Once that's done, click save in the top right. And next up, you're going to need your logins for VATSIM and the AIG forum that we created just a short few minutes ago. So back in the AI Manager application, we want to click now at the top again, we want to click the cookies tab. So you'll be presented on here with two options, basically the AIG forum login and the VATSIM login. Basically, you just want to log in to both of those. So click login next to AIG forum first, for example, and it will launch a new window, a browser window essentially. And you will probably be presented with some script errors. Just keep clicking yes until they stop appearing. It's nothing to worry about. And then just log in on the respective website as normal. So once that's done, we're then going to click along the top again at the AIG AIM-OCI tab at the top of the window. So on this menu, underneath where it says current path, click setup. This will bring up another prompt which you should read through to gain a better understanding of how this application is working. And then you want to click next and double check that the path next to where it says OCI-directory, you want to make sure this is the Microsoft Flight Simulator community folder. It should be, but for whatever reason, if it's not, you'll want to make sure that's your community folder. I know there's a note there at the top that says don't set it to your Flight Sim directory, but I do know for a fact it needs to be on Microsoft Flight Simulator community folder, so don't worry too much about that note at the top there, but just double check that is the correct directory. If you're not sure where your community folder is for whatever reason, again, there is a link down in the description of the video to a small application which is available on flightsim.to, and you can just run the application and it will show you where your community folder is. Nice and easy. Okay, so once this is all correct, double check the option to use AIG FP-files is enabled. It should already be, and make sure the path is set properly. This should be the path that we set up earlier on. So it needs to be directed to the AIG Traffic Controller directory or folder. If that's not done, just get that done now as I showed you earlier on, but it should all be in there already. Next, click the Setup button, and this is going to cause the AI Manager to close. You can double check this has all worked by navigating to your community folder for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you should notice a new package has been created called AIG-traffic-OCI-beta, and that is proof that the setup has correctly worked so far. And that is the initial setup now all done. All that leaves is to install the flight plans and models, etc. as desired. To do this, relaunch the AI Manager and click Flight Plans in the left-hand menu. Then click the Online tab at the top of the window, and this will show you all current flight plans that are online and available to download for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Downloading any of these flight plans will install the relevant offline flight plans for a given airline to use in offline mode, but it will also download the relevant aircraft models and liveries. So this does need to be done if you want to benefit even using online traffic or VATSIM model matching. You can select individual airlines to install by just clicking the green install button next to any airline, or you can use the checkboxes along with the control key on your keyboard to select multiple airlines, which will allow you to download multiple at once using the OCI bulk button at the bottom of the window. You can also shift and click to select a block of airlines if you want to download a lot at once. Initially, I recommend you start by downloading 1 or 2 airlines to make sure everything is working okay and things are showing up in the sim. So for this example, I am going to download EasyJet. So clicking on the green install button brings up another window, just giving the details of the airline and flight plans. Click install using OCI, and then another window will appear, and just click install in the bottom right on that window. And we're just going to let that install. And this brings me to another example of something you might come across when downloading the flight plans. For a small number of flight plans, you'll need to complete a manual download of the required files. If this happens, you'll be presented with a prompt like this that we're seeing here. Basically, you just need to click OK and a browser will be launched, and in most cases the file will download immediately to your downloads folder. In some cases, you'll be presented with a Google Drive folder or similar cloud hosting service, in which case just click the download button. Usually it's in the top right of the page, and all files will be downloaded as a zip file, which is what's required for the installer. I've also found in some cases you also may need to be logged in on flightsim.com for some files. That's why I mentioned it earlier on. So if you're presented with this page, just go to flightsim.com on another tab and then come back to the page and hit refresh, and the file should download just fine. Then you just need to point the AI manager to the file you just downloaded. So in my case, I'll navigate to my downloads folder, and this window should actually filter your results, so it would only show the correct file anyway, so it should be nice and easy to find. But you just want to select that file and click OK, and the installation should continue. However, these are fairly small edge cases. I have spent many hours today downloading all of the airlines on the AI manager, and I've only been prompted to do a manual download a very, very small number of times. So it's likely if you wanted to, you could just skip many of these manual downloads if you're not too bothered about missing 1 or 2 liveries or models. Now, once the installation has completed, we are basically done in AI Manager, for now at least. So let's now go ahead and test the offline AI traffic is working. So next thing, you can go ahead and open Microsoft Flight Simulator. And whilst that actually loads up, obviously we all know it takes a good few minutes. We're going to make sure the traffic controller is set up properly for the offline traffic. Note that in loading up the sim with this add-on installed, it can take considerably longer to load, so just something to bear in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and navigate back to the folder where we pasted the traffic controller earlier on, and we're going to launch that. Much like in the case of the AI manager, it will scan for scenery on startup and give you the same prompt regarding slow mode. Again, entirely up to you what you click there. So once it's loaded up, you'll be presented with this view, which is essentially just a map. You can use this once we are in the sim, and you can basically just see where the AI traffic has been spawned into the world. But for now, let's click on settings. And once you're there, it's really quite simple. First, we just want to select use AIG FP. So tick this very first box here on the left-hand side. And then we just need to point the traffic controller to the folder created within the community folder by the AI manager. This is referred to as the OCI directory. So next to the box here, simply click select and navigate to your community folder for Microsoft Flight Simulator and select the folder AIG-traffic-OCI-beta and click OK. The other option you'll want to select on this page is you'll want to tick the box next to auto injection on startup. Alright, after that, make sure you click Save Settings in the bottom right. It's tucked away a little bit there, so make sure you click that. And finally, just close the traffic controller and relaunch it, and we are good to go. Leave the app open for now, as it is required to run in the background when using offline AI traffic, which we're going to give a quick test now. So moving back to the sim now, there's a couple of things we want to change before we load into a flight or load into the world. And first of all, we're going to do that by going to the options menu and turning off the in-game AI traffic. As for this test, the traffic will be injected by the AIG Traffic Controller application that you should still have running in the background. So head over to your options menu, then click on traffic, and then turn the aircraft traffic type, the first option here on the menu, make sure you turn that to off. You'll also want to go a little bit further down on this page and turn the ground aircraft density. You want to turn that slider to 0. Whilst you're also in this menu, you can also go ahead and disable the generic models for traffic in the sim. So just scroll all the way down to the bottom and make sure generic models are turned off for both multiplayer and AI traffic. This will give you the best results if you want to fly on multiplayer or use the live traffic option later on. Okay, so nearly there. Now let's go to the world map and select an airport. So choose an airport where you will expect to see the airline installed. So in my case, I'm going to select Gatwick as I installed EasyJet. And despite the fact this is offline AI traffic, do bear in mind the flight plans are still based on real-world routings, and therefore you'll need to be at an airport where that airline flies to actually see it there in the sim. Okay, now let's click Fly Now, and with the magic of video editing, once you have loaded in, you should see something like this. If everything went correctly, you should see some AI traffic, and some of the aircraft might be moving around, some of the aircraft might be parked at the gates, but you should see some AI traffic. And you'll also note if you change your time of day as well, you'll probably see some of the traffic change slightly. This will probably be a little bit more obvious when you have different airlines installed as well. So this means everything has been set up correctly if you are seeing the same as what I'm seeing now, obviously depending on what airline you chose. And the new AI traffic should be working for offline traffic as long as you keep the traffic controller open in the background. It should also work for live traffic and multiplayer now, and for this you don't need to have the traffic controller open at all. You basically just need to change the options that we changed earlier on. So if you change the traffic type to live traffic, and for multiplayer you don't need to change anything there. Obviously if you're on multiplayer, you should notice that it starts to match up a little bit more effectively with the real world livery that the player is using, although this is still under development. Read the link down in the description about some limitations with regards to that. I'm not going to show you that in the video anyway. I'll leave that for you guys to test out. And next up, you may want to close out the sim and start installing more airlines and flight plans using AI Manager, which you can now do to your cart's content. That's really everything set up now. You shouldn't really need to change anything, and you can just go ahead and download whatever airlines you want. However, do note that it does take many hours to install all of the airlines if you wanted to install them all. For example, I've been installing them so far for about 6 hours now, and they're still not all done, and they're literally still going as I'm recording this voiceover right now. So yeah, it does take a very long amount of time to get all the airlines on there. And honestly, I'm not even sure if it's entirely worth it, but I wanted to try and just mess around with as many options as I can. So that's it for the sort of offline, real-time AI traffic within the sim. That's all you really need to do. But if you are interested in VATSIM, we're going to take a look at that next up. So let's have a look at how you would use this for model matching in VATSIM, and how we might set that up. So I have created a VMR file for testing on VATSIM that you can download from the description below and add this to your model matching rules in vPilot. It covers all airlines currently included on the AI Manager as of the release of this video. So absolutely massive amount of airlines covered in there. Now, one caveat I will say is that it is pretty early days with the AIG AI Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This was only released as a beta this week, so on Monday, and I haven't had chance to go through the VMR file yet with a fine-tooth comb, so it will likely need some refinement in order to get it working accurately in all cases. But I wanted to get something out to you guys and help you guys if you wanted to try making one yourself. Which brings me to my next point. If you choose not to install every airline like I did, let's face it, most sane people probably won't install every airline. It's a bit overkill. You may be able to get a better result and in a quicker time by creating a VMR yourself. So in the description below, I have included a link to a great application called Model Matching Magic, available on flightsim.to, which essentially just scans your community folder and basically fills out a VMR for you. So it's very, very quick and easy to use, and if anything is missing, which there will be some stuff missing, you need to just go through and fill it in, and then it can just generate a VMR, which you can then just put into vPilot and use for model matching on VATSIM, and it should work pretty great, especially if you're not installing a ton of airlines. You should be able to spend, maybe 5-10 minutes filling out all the aircraft types that are missing. That's one thing that I noticed was missing from my VMR when I generated that using Model Matching Magic. Some of the aircraft types were missing, so it's probably worth just going through and filling those out if you're only using a few airlines. It might be a good idea, say for example, if you fly mainly in Europe, maybe just download the major airlines in Europe or the ones that you come across the most on VATSIM and make sure they're all filled out properly. That's probably where I will start with my VMR file. But anyway, without sort of going off on one, Model Matching Magic, link is in the description. I've also included a tutorial on how to use Model Matching Magic. It's pretty simple, but I've included a fantastic tutorial by fellow YouTuber British Avgeek, and if you watch the tutorial as well in combination, you should be able to get yourself a nice looking VMR file pretty quickly. Again, my VMR file, happy for you guys to use it, but it's not fully complete yet, and it may not always match the aircraft model for some airlines correctly, but for most part it should be pretty good, I'm hoping. I will post my finished VMR on flightsim.to once I'm completely happy that everything is working, so keep your eyes peeled over there for that. Alright, so that is it then. That is the AIG AI Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Really, really cool results actually. I'm really, really happy with how this is turned out, and I was actually quite surprised to see that the beta did actually go live this week. I did see an announcement about it a little while back, but I didn't think the beta would be out just yet, but it seems to be quite a low-key release. Obviously, if you download this and have a mess around with it, if you find any bugs, go onto the AIG forum and do report them there. Obviously, I will be doing the same as well, but I am really happy with the result. It looks like AIG have gone to some really great lengths to make sure the models are high quality and the repaints are looking very nice for us here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They definitely don't look out of place next to the the default aircraft in the sim. So not much to do all in all. I know I've probably waffled on a little bit more than I needed to here in this video, but I thought it would be helpful to anyone new to this, and just to have something to follow along with, as like I say, there isn't that much documentation out there for this application. So yeah, I really hope you found it helpful, and if it has helped you, please do hit the thumbs up button on the video. That's really, really helpful for the channel. If you have any questions or comments or feedback at all on the video, feel free to stick that down in the comments section below. And if you want to see more videos like this, do consider subscribing. Alright guys, have a fantastic day. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.